Here's an idea. Let's move everything to space. What do you think, folks? Is that going to be a cost-effective solution that generates revenue for your company? Yeah. What could possibly go wrong? Move everything to space. Those solar panels that are 4 kilometers by 4 kilometers, we can totally use terrestrial solar panels in space, right? They only cost $2 million, right, Elon? So today, the title of the video is Move Everything to Space. A truly ridiculous and silly idea, not cost effective and not even calculated correctly as far as the costs. But this is going to be a new one that you're going to hear. So that's why we're covering space weather, folks, because move everything to space. That's a banger of an idea. Great idea. It's a cracker of an idea there, Elon. Great idea, great plan. We're just gonna put 100 gigawatts of electric power into space to power AI data centers in space every year. 100 gigawatts of power every year. So about a quarter of all the electricity in the US every year in space. Okay? Elon Musk's timelines, they're adorable if you find fraud cute. So there's that. Now, look, I'm not suggesting that we ought to not ever have data centers in space. There are advantages to having data centers in space, but at the moment, it's much more expensive to put a data center in space than it is to put it on the ground. So there's that. So, like, I'm not going to start to make arguments about the latency of the signal coming from space, but it'll make your AI a little bit slower. But yeah, this is going to be the latest one now. This is going to be the justification for the merger between XAI, which is the Twitter AI, and SpaceX. So it's just adorably cute and ridiculous, and so I can't resist covering it because it's too funny. It's just too funny. So anyway, join me because the stories outside of space weather and meteorology are making my brain melt. What about you? So, but we'll talk about space weather and Earth weather as we're known to do on the channel. So, yeah. So join me for that. We'll talk about things like sunspot number and the likelihood of large solar flares and the next coronal mass ejection that's slated to strike Earth. And there is another one on the way, another glancing blow, not likely to cause a major geomagnetic storm, but likely to cause a geomagnetic storm. We'll cover it. We'll tell you when it's going to happen. We'll show you maps, sunspots, and all kinds of things like that. So buckle up, pull up a seat, grab your drink. We're going to be here for about a half an hour as I've streamlined today's coverage a little bit. So any comments that you've got, make them quick because we're going to blast through all of the actual data today fast enough that we'll have plenty of time to talk about whatever we want. And I'm drinking effectively a diluted cherry Pepsi. So it's a cherry Pepsi with almost a full can of black cherry club soda, if you're wondering. Here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, we love our carbonated beverages. So that's what I'm drinking. Cheers to all of our viewers. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to press that subscribe button. Otherwise, you might not see the world's most comprehensive daily space weather right there in your subscription feed. We've been doing it for 7 years, pushing 8 years now. Pushing 7 years now. Yeah, pushing 7 years. Anyway, we became a .com back in 2019. Visit the homepage, visit the merch shop. You'll find the links to all that stuff in the description. We were talking about naming filaments. We just named one yesterday. There's another great filament to name. Maybe we'll name that today if nobody else does. We like to name solar plasma filaments after our friends, our foes, and even ourselves sometimes. Living humans. They're allowed to be brain dead. James T. Kirk is not brain dead. And neither is Bubbles. or Ricky. Say hi, Ricky. All right, so let's get to it. I'm going to head up to the green screen room, the Smash News Network studio. The place where the magic happens. The magic of YouTube, folks. It's so magical. All right, where did I put my tripod? I only lose it every day. I lose my tripod every day, folks, because I put it in different places and then I don't remember which place. So yeah, it's fun. So yeah, let us know if there are any news stories that you'd like covered in the comments. We love viewer comments and we read them all, even if we are unable to respond to each and every comment. Even though we are unable to respond to each and every comment, we try to respond to each and every comment, including the silliest as well as the best comments. So leave one in the chat. Tell your friends and your foes what it is you would like covered on the stream, in addition to the space and earth weather. All right, so pardon my disheveled appearance. I am a Joule. It is part zombie and part ghoul, so I apologize for that. It is a thing that is partially beyond my control. All right, so here's the closest star, El Sol, as it's known. Pardon my tripod manipulations. What the hell is going on? Did you ever just feel like nothing fucking works right, folks? I know you're viewing this on some kind of a computer system. How's that working out for you? How's the quote AI end quote? You know, you got to put AI in quotes. You know why, right? Can anybody tell us in the chat why AI belongs in quote? AI. Why does it belong in quotes? Can anybody explain? I'll give you a hint. It's because of misbranding. Yeah, let us know in the comments. Why do you think AI should be in quotes? I'll just wait and refuse to go on until somebody answers. We don't always torture our viewers, but sometimes we do. I'll ask AI. That's right. Somehow I don't think it's going to figure it out. It's not exactly common knowledge, but that's a great comment there, South Aussie Steve. Cheers. Hey, welcome from Fremunda. We appreciate you tuning into the channel. Fremunda. You know, the land of Fremunda. Those of you south of the equator. Intentionally artificial. No, that would be IA. Femios nailed it. Yeah, that's exactly why. The only thing so I can answer now. I can explain why AI belongs in quotes. It's because of misbranding. Hopefully my hint is what caused you to figure it out, but it's misbranding. I was a computer science major when I graduated high school. And for my first year or so of college, I was a CIS math major, computer information science with a math background. And I got the hell out of there because coding was dead by the time I was there. And I didn't like it. It was a bunch of copy pasting nonsense. And people largely didn't know how to code in C++ already back then. So that's part of the reason I got out of it. I pursued pro sports instead. And I wouldn't change anything as far as that goes. So yeah, this channel has zero AI slop on it. And Femios nailed it. So for those of you who just tuned in, I was asking why AI belongs in quotes. And Femios nails it. It lacks intelligence. It's misbranding. Machine machine learning is not intelligence, and neither are large language models. Large language models just use machine learning. So this is no more intelligent than a lock on a safe. It's no more intelligent than any basic machine. It's no more intelligent than a light switch. It's just a lot of light switches, more or less. So yeah, I mean these are facts. The only thing that's artificial is that it's intelligent. Okay? AI. What's artificial is that it's intelligent. Now, I don't know why people think that it's going to magically become intelligent, but I do have one theory. And the theory is that I think that the wizards of AI, they think that emergent behavior, otherwise known as a ghost in the machine, for all of you who know anything about code, emergent behavior is when you get really complicated, especially really complicated code. It'll do things that you're not expecting it to do, that you don't want it to do. It's chaos. And that is what happens when you make really complicated systems. Really high levels of order tend to funnel down to chaos, and chaos tends to funnel up to order in a very strange sort of collaboration between entropy and order in the universe. But I digress. I think that people like Sundar Pichai and Tim Cook and Satya over there at Microsoft and Sam Altman and Elon Musk, they think that if they make the code complicated enough, that emergent behavior is going to be like, look at me, I'm intelligence. They think that it's just going to magically, these billions of chimps typing away on typewriters using machine learning to know what to type, that the chimps are just going to suddenly come together and be like, I'm a consciousness now. Look at me. I'm so smart that I'm going to destroy mankind. Like, what? That's emergent behavior is not going to suddenly just emerge as intelligence. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, here's some more imagery of El Sol, the closest star, the most interesting one at which to gaze. And I'll put your chats back on the screen since we have some good comments. Shout out to Femios. Femios, if you don't have a channel, you ought to start one. You start a YouTube channel. If any of our viewers start a YouTube channel, just tell us about it. We might even promote it, especially if it's good. Practically everybody has something to say. As long as you don't put together a bunch of AI crap, we'll probably promote your channel. So create one. It's the future. It's the real future. People doing actual stuff. So anyway, check out the Eric Schmidt filament over here. Named for the first CEO of Google, Eric Schmidt, has been erupting and doing funky things, appearing on the coronagraph and being associated with some flares there on the limb. So we named that one. This one over here, this is called the Eugene the Philosopher filament. Make sure you follow his channel. Pal of the channel. Great friend of the channel, Eugene the Philosopher, is who this one's named after. This one up here needs a name. This is a big filament that could create a major solar storm. So we're hoping. Yes! You finished your astronomy degree last year. Congratulations, man. Or gal. Roger Cheeto. I suspect you're a guy. Anyway, hopefully I haven't misgendered anybody. Femio says people may also just define intelligence differently. They see that AI, quote, knows a lot of things, quote, and equate it to general intelligence. That's right. The problem with LLMs is they don't know anything. They don't know anything. That's why they lose it after one tiny error, because they don't know anything. Femios, you got 50,000 subs. Nice, man. Well, I guess you don't need our help. Perhaps vice versa. All right, yeah, congratulations on that astronomy degree. Fantastic. So you can check and make sure that I don't say anything that's idiotic in this stream. We actually like having experts in here, because then if I do say something wrong, then you can call me on it. Sound good? All right, so anyway, here's the closest star from, we're looking at helioviewer.org here. And this is going to be the latest data. We're looking at 304 angstroms from SDO as well as the HMI magnetogram. And 4366 is looking like this. It still has a quite high level of magnetic shear in this trailing umbral region. So that is where you can expect to see large solar flares continue. We did have some M-class events. We did have a new sunspot rise in the east as well, this one right here. So that caused the sunspot number to come back up a little bit, I think. So we'll have a pretty static sunspot number here. We'll be somewhere around 150 sunspots. But we'll show you exactly what it is in a minute. Cosmic ray flux remains at a 22-year low. Here's one of our only known cosmic ray producers. High mass X-ray binary Cygnus X3. That one's located in the Milky Way galaxy at about 32,000 light years of distance. That is the X-ray emissions from it. Yeah, that trailing umbra didn't degrade much, so there still is a possibility for large flares. And there is a CME on the way, so I wasn't just blowing smoke up your you-know-what. There actually is a coronal mass ejection. It's going to be another glancing blow there. So this one's going to mostly miss to the west, as you can see there on the Huxt forecast. So late in the day on the 9th. So that one must have just been modeled there, as these things typically take around 3 days. So yeah, there's the forecast, and it looks like a glancing blow on the way, and we're still a few days out. I don't know where it looks like that they're expecting that coronal hole high-speed stream to be really weak. I don't know. That looks like a mismodeling of the coronal hole high-speed stream, but give them a pass. They got the CMEs modeled. Let's move on. We're going to show you stereo A and stuff as well. Before we get to that, the solar wind parameters are very calm, very calm. A little bit high speed. So we do have a high speed solar wind here, 545 kilometers a second. Solar wind density here only 1.3 protons per cubic centimeter. And the fields are not conducive to geomagnetic storm conditions or anything like that. Fields are currently 6 nanotesla for the total field. That's the top line there. And a BZ of +1. They're measured out at Lagrange 1, if you're wondering. They're orbiting that gravitational equilibrium point. We will get to your comments here in a minute. And that data was from ACE once again, like yesterday. And there's where ACE is located. It's that green orbit you're showing. The red circle is Lagrange 1. Here's Earth's magnetosphere, out to about 12 Earth diameters. And we have a pretty static magnetic pressure here around the planet as the system attempts to reach static equilibrium, like everything else in the universe. Hopefully your checking account reaches static equilibrium and doesn't continue to be shattered like so many checking accounts out there. We hope you have something resembling positive cash flow, as so few people, and indeed corporations, especially those investing inordinate amounts of money in AI, do. Looks like the day side of the Earth has seen a reduced pressure in the past 2 hours. Anyway, here's our GOES magnetometers, and they are pretty smooth here. This is not like a space weather event of note. So anyway, there's what it looks like over the last week. We did have some minor CME impacts in there. NOAA's forecast is going to be on the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard if you want to check it out yourself. Expecting some geomagnetic storms tonight into tomorrow, as well as tomorrow night into Sunday. Sunday. I like to mispronounce the names of days. I also like to say Texas. Texas on Sunday is probably not going to be able to see the aurora. But anyway, Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard, there you go. And here is our 10.7 centimeter radio flux from Solon.info. Came up a little bit, probably with the rising of that new sunspot there in the east. But it's about where it was here, just under 180 solar flux units there. The F107, as it's sometime referred, is at, 176 solar flux units, somewhere around there. And sunspot number, according to the King of Belgium's observatory, is at about 137. 137 sunspots. They look about like that. Let's show the house favorite wavelength. We've got some filamentary motions. Is that new? Please be new. Please be new. Nope. Here are the past like 6 hours. All right. Let's try that again since it refreshed. It's refreshing when it refreshes, unless it countermands what I've just said. All right, so here we go. This is the past like 6 hours. And there is some motion happening here, kind of trailing this sunspot. So this could be sort of a situation building up for a big flare out of this trailing umbra. Because if the plasma suddenly reorients itself, then you're going to get sudden magnetic reconnection, and that's what you want to see for big solar flares. And let's move on. So the coronagraph here, we should see a CME on this. One that will largely miss Earth to the west. There was one missing Earth to the east. Maybe that is the glancing blow, but in any case, University of Reading is modeling that off to the west for whatever reason. Okay. And here's stereo A to give us a little bit of additional perspective. That is a couple months ahead of Earth in terms of its orbit. And let's see if indeed, see, that's not an earthly directed CME, that's on the far side. So Earth would be off to your left from this perspective. So that CME, that is on the far side. It does look like there's like 2 CMEs happen. No, that's just one event, it looks like. Massive prominence down there. Look at that prominence. I don't think that's the Eric Schmidt filament either. The Eric Schmidt filament would be over toward the left. So yeah, some activity going on the far side of the sun there. And some new active regions will continue to rise here over the next couple of days. I'm not so sure about University of Reading's CME incoming forecast, but fingers crossed for that. We hope it is. Let me put your chats back on the screen while I display the locations of planets. Keep in mind, folks, planets are not space weather. And that this imagery is not to scale. These things are really far apart. And let me get to your comments here briefly. Femios, you are so smart that I'm going to like subscribe to your channel. People who understand anything about AI, they deserve to be followed. So cheers. You've been subscribed to. That's right. It's not, quote, thinking, end quote. It's predicting. It's predicting the likelihood of words in a chain of words. That is not intelligence in any stretch of the imagination. Well, we're going to see. So Roger Cheeto 1 says, X-ray emissions are as expected, no changes from last year. We're going to see lower levels of X-ray flux this year because the sun is declining from solar maximum. Femios, I'm agnostic on whether or not AI can become conscious in the future. If you don't believe AI can become conscious, what do you believe are the necessary and sufficient conditions for consciousness? Yeah, that's an existential question that nobody really has the answer for. So that makes it a very good question because the answer is I don't know. So there may be some path to systematically like create emergent behavior by having really complicated software systems where you sort of know as you teach it that the emergent behavior is going to pop up and have certain characteristics that make it distinguishable from other things that learn different stuff, right? You got to create some sort of an environment where you can like create a thing that's almost like a product, right? And then when that emergent behavior shows up, you have to like save all the code so that you have that thing, right? But here's the problem. Emergent behavior is chaos. By its very nature, you can't really build the software to intentionally induce emergent behavior. And if you do, now you're just coding. So there's a weird like conflict that happens there. It's like equivalent to, think of it like this. Imagine if you were going to build a building, right? Let's say you're going to build a house. You buy a plot of land and you're going to build a house. And the way that you're going to do that is you're going to wait for a tornado to come, and you're just going to hope that the tornado just builds the house for you. You're just going to put all the building materials there, and when a tornado comes over, you're just going to hope that builds your house. That's like equivalent to what the AI companies are doing right now. They're not throwing shit at the wall. They're throwing billions of dollars at the wall, and they're getting shit as an output. So there's that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think what's going to happen is somebody's going to figure out how to write code that's stable, where you can build a thing that has the right code in it to emulate intelligence sufficiently that the code is smart enough that it just behaves like intelligence. Is it really going to be intelligent? Probably not. But once you give the code the ability to code its own code, you can make the argument that that is intelligence. The trick is getting over the garbage in, garbage out hurdle. Okay? So right now, they're not making it over that hurdle. You know what I mean? Elon Musk and Sam Altman and Tim Cook and Sundar Pichai, they're all throwing billions and billions and billions, to quote Trump, billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and trillions of dollars at it. They want all the world's electricity times 10. And it's just berserk. I mean, it's like, the technology might kill us all, so make sure that you give all the Earth's electricity. Oh, is your electricity bill going up? Oh, we're terribly sorry about that. It's a complete wreck. The whole thing is utter nonsense, and the AI bubble is already collapsing because everybody can see the financials for these companies, and to say that they're bad is to say that bank bookkeeping would be legal in other businesses. It's the level of fraud is just off of the fucking charts, folks. Off of the fucking charts. For the record, when I say AI, I don't mean the machine learning we see today. Yeah, you better not, because it's not intelligent. At the end of the day, it's another example of billionaires being both evil and stupid simultaneously. Yeah, that's a good take. At the end of the day, it's another example of billionaires being both evil and stupid simultaneously. AI data centers in space. Yeah, if you'd like much, much more costly data centers, that's where to put them. With the current state of affairs. Anyway, that's where planets are. No proton flux events here. We don't see any solar energetic particles, but we might, because that filament that's still setting, the Eric Schmidt filament there on the western limb, this one right over here, if this one blasts off, that could create a proton event without even seeing a flare. So don't be surprised to see a little spike in the GOES proton flux from that. All right, so I've already brought up the models here. Here is our top view ecliptic plane field plot showing the solar system's magnetism. And as you can see here, Earth is nearing the edge. Give it a couple days, say 48 hours, to reach the edge of this system right here. This is the South Pole-oriented magnetic sector, as it is dominated by South Pole-oriented coronal holes, as you can see here in our line of sight coronal hole plot. Field here depicted in blue. And the solar polar fields, which are those coronal holes depicted in red for south, where the field lines point at the sun, and green for north, or positive, where the field lines point out into space and connect all the way to Earth's magnetosphere. Next, the L-Tide magnetograms. And this is still a pretty tidy sunspot here. It's pretty tidy, as evidenced by the magnetograms generated by L-Tide. So back here, you can see significant magnetic flux, magnetic shear rather, and yeah, that's where to look for large flares. If I bring up the last image, We do have a group that's risen over here. That looks like a beta class sunspot group. So there is some minor flare potential there on the limb, some minor flare potential down here. And we did see some flaring from that one. Some minor flare potential here and major flare potential right there. There is the red light imagery. That's 677 nanometers. Similar to what you would see if you use just a basic solar filter from the ground level. This is for everybody who thinks the sun is flat, or the sun is fake, or space is fake. You could buy a $100 telescope and see this from the ground, although it would look like a different orientation depending on what part of the Earth you're on, but nonetheless, you'd be able to see all of these features with a $100 telescope. Folks, please don't use your telescope to view the sun without the appropriate solar filter or filters. I can't believe I got to say that. All right, next we're looking at solar filaments. Like I said, the Eric Schmidt filament is way over here setting, and it is creating some prominences. It looks like it's in the process of ejecting right now, actually. So that's something to watch throughout the day. You should see some blips in the coronagraph from that at the very least. This one's already named the Eugene the Philosopher filament. Make sure you go follow his channel if you haven't seen Eugene the Philosopher yet. Shout out to Eugene. Another massive filament rising down here in the southeast, so that one is definitely worthy of a name. And this one up here is the one that we're going to put up today on Twitter, because that one's definitely worthy of a name too. It's very massive and very, very dense. You see how dark it looks? That means that is blocking the hydrogen signal from making it to the Cerro Tololo Chilean ground-based telescope. So we bring up the last image right there. We're going to use the hashtag #NameThatFilament over on Twitter, what insane lunatics call X. We're going to name this filament. If you've got ideas, well, you've got to do it on Twitter. But that's the filament that's going to get named today, one way or another. It's going to get named. It's going to get named one way. Maybe today. Definitely today. It's going to get named. It gets named. Yeah, over here on Twitter. Just put up the hashtag #NameThatFilament and tag us at Smashomash. Who will participate in America's favorite pastime of Name That Filament? You can see past solar storms. We actually named the May 2024 solar storm, which was, I think that was the most intense solar storm of the entire cycle after Tamitha Skov. So Space Weather Woman had the filament named like a day before it blasted off. So this is part of space weather forecasting, folks. Guessing which filaments are going to strike the magnetosphere. So those are the best ones to name after living people. Could be your friends, could be your foes, could be yourself. I don't care. I'll name it myself if nobody else does. Then I get to name it after whoever I want. Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, now lives in a country with no extradition treaty, Cyprus. One of the world's favorite billionaires until about the year 2016. Then people stopped liking him so much for some reason. I can't comment on why. It's one of the many mysteries of the year 2026. It's just a mystery. Nothing's transparent that really unwise people do constantly every day. Pardon my biting sarcasm. The world has been pissing me off and preparing me to put heads on spikes. Anyway, there goes electron flux. You can expect this to go back. Well, it looks like it's actually subsided now. So this is a legit subsiding here of the electron flux. It looks like, although we are having an early coronal hole high-speed stream here or incoming CMEs or something, because we do have an elevated solar wind velocity. So this could go right back into storm levels here today. But at the moment, It's looking pretty chill. It could be erroneous. No other comment. Here is our uh, total electron content forecast. And this is a good opportunity to put your chats back on the screen. I see a number of comments have come in, and thanks to everybody who's left some. It's pretty busy in here today. I like that. All right. Hi, Jamaluddin Bada Majal 7400. The Marion Lewis says, thank the goddess, quote, we, and quote, are so stupid and evil. Okay. If you say so, if you say so. To quote Trevor on GTA 5, if you say so, if you say so. It is truly a mystery why we would hate our oppressors who exploit us for our labor. I know, it truly is a mystery. Your sarcasm rivals mine, Femios. No wonder you have so many subs. Billy's Filament. That's not going to do it, Susan Ree 7027. You have to post on Twitter and use the hashtag #NameThatFilament. Plus, I have no idea who Billy is. So there's that. I can't think of a single billionaire who is genuinely a good person. Yeah, I don't know. I genuinely have no idea how good or bad they are, but most of them look bad because when you have to propagate lies, super transparent, obvious lies, over and over and over and over and over and over again to trick people and fleece them out of their money so they invest in your worthless companies, where your house of cards is only propped up by fraud. Like, this is the problem with the AI bubble, folks. The AI bubble is propped up by nothing but fraud. Okay? So think of a house of cards, right? A house of cards is the thing that is only propped up by those cards. In the AI bubble, the cards don't exist. The cards are the fraud. So the AI bubble is propped up by nothing. It's propped up by the promises of Sam Altman and Elon Musk. And these guys are talking total nonsense. Their financials are total nonsense. Their products are total nonsense. They have zero ability to generate revenue. They're putting spam and slopware all over your screen. Microsloth, they think they're a wizard of AI. It's a giant bubble, the whole thing. All of these AI productivity gains are already priced into the markets. So like all of the major companies, they're all like, oh my gosh, 2026 is going to be a panacea. We're going to be so profitable because we're going to lay off a bunch of our workforce and replace them with code that doesn't fucking function. Like, what we're doing right now is we're automating a bunch of things that could have been automated a decade ago. So, yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to get into computer consulting. I think that might have to be my new career, because there's going to be an opportunity that arises here to tell people how to use AI effectively, as opposed to what we have now, which is a gray goo nightmare of AI trash. Most of what I see on the internet right now generated by AI should be erased forever. Erased, not deleted. I don't want to see it in the Wayback Machine either, because it's a waste of space on their servers and memory and hard drives and tape drives and who knows what else. Like, get rid of that crap. Erase it. Make space. Susan Ree, if you don't tweet, you're not going to be able to name filaments. You have to have a Twitter account, and you have to tag us on Twitter and say, hashtag name that filament, and then tag us, and then we'll name the filament. That's how the process works. Our channel invented naming solar filaments through the inputs of Nay Bojay, as she's known. Shout out to Nay if you're viewing this video. And it's partially because, everything gets named now. I mean, pretty soon we're going to name like individual wave sets in the ocean, and everything gets a name, right? Every winter storm, every rain shower, everything's get a name. Everything's unprecedented, right? Anyway, here are your deabsorption region predictions. That's where radio blackouts are likely to occur, and right now it's mainly likely to have radio blackouts around the equator at noontime. I always love to see interesting conversations happening in the chat, so keep those going. while I rant about various things. All right, let's move on here. This is getting too long of a video. The D region is right there. This is where space weather starts, by the way, folks. So when we're talking about space weather and Earth weather is down here below the D region, where Earth's atmosphere becomes mostly ionized. Up here, this is where space weather is, from the D region to the sun. Earth weather is from the D region down. It's literally the border between mostly ionized matter and mostly neutral matter. Anyway, here's a quick ionosonde from Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology. There's the current picture. That's the raw vibrational frequency up there at the F layer, which is right there in the daytime on the right and nighttime on the left. There's the F layer. And here is the anomalygram. That's anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median, as stated here. Now, if you're watching somebody talking about space weather and stuff like that and anything about science, and they're just saying numbers with no units, then that person is science illiterate. You probably shouldn't listen to them. The same way you shouldn't debate somebody who doesn't know the English language or whatever language you speak. If they can't read and write, you can't debate them. If they're science illiterate, you can't debate them on science. I can't believe I have to say that. As we transition to Earth weather, like sands through the hourglass of time, these are the Atlantic sunrises of our lives. Let's put your chats back up. I see a number of chats have come through once again. Once again, I'm going to mispronounce things because it's fun. Have you seen the video where some guy flew out flat earthers to Antarctica? Absolutely. Absolutely. I've been watching Sci-Man Dan for a long time, so yeah. Shout out to Sci-Man Dan. Sci-Man Dan needs to do a video about Stefan Burns if he hasn't already done one, but we won't say that name very often. A necessary prerequisite of being a billionaire sustainably is to hoard exorbitant amounts of wealth. No good person would hoard that much wealth. That is kind of true. I mean, like once you have $100 million, what the hell could you possibly need that costs more than $100 million? Like once you have 9 figures, like what I like to call colloquially Hillary Clinton money, once you have that much money, can you not do anything you want to do for the rest of your life? Seriously? Like, you have a good point there. But, I mean, look, there can be a case made that some billionaires will somehow better the world. So that's a reason for them to cast their shadow across your soul and destroy the internet. I mean, who else remembers when the internet wasn't completely broken? Does anybody remember that? Look, I stopped using Google for search in like 2011 or something. You know why? I noticed it was broken. I was searching for a thing. I typed the URL of this website. The URL, the whole thing. http:// something or other.com. It was mcmelectronics.com. Yep. And I had to look, I think it was 14 pages deep in the search results for the broken Google AI crap, which was already in place back then. That's why the search algorithm was broken, because of a bidding war that Google creates so that you can get your company up to the top of the search results. What that means is if there are 6,000 companies that are all willing to pay Google to be higher on the search result lists, now they've created a bidding war where the company that pays them the most money appears highest in search. That is how the internet was broken. In a nutshell. I mean, that was the catalyst that ruined the whole fucking internet. Google and YouTube are the 2 largest search engines. You know, YouTube is owned by Alphabet LLC, like Google, right? The holding company, Alphabet LLC. So YouTube is Google. There's a complete monopoly on search. And now, to make matters even more fucked, Apple and Google have announced an AI collaboration. If that's not hilarious, I don't know what is. Apple decided it would be smart to collaborate with Google on their AI. Are they nuts? I mean, look, they're just making the bubble bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's going to be the biggest bubble burst since 1929. It's going to be worse than the dot-com bubble. It's already worse than a dot-com bubble. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I was a day trader back in 1999 after I got hit by a car. I got hit by a car while training and I broke my leg, causing me to miss the 2000 bike race season. And that was an opportunity to make the name Smash-O-Mash, become an online gamer. I got a PlayStation, I got a TV, I got new bikes and stuff. Like I got all ready for 2020, for 2001. But while I was recovering from the fractured tibia, I learned how to day trade. And I mean, since then, I actually know economics. Like stocks aren't the economy, just so you know, folks. Stocks are not the economy, but evaluating individual stocks is super easy if you have any clue of what fundamentals to look at, like their price to earnings ratio, market capitalization, daily volume, share price, whether the CEO is a complete fraud or not. And just so you know, folks, if you're evaluating a company, right? Let's say I want to know if, let's see. What if, let's just say OpenAI existed as a publicly traded company, right? Let's make it completely hypothetical, so this couldn't possibly be investment advice of any kind. Let's say OpenAI, IPOs, and it's whatever, it reaches a $3 trillion valuation because magic. And Sam Altman says a thing, and I go, ooh, I'm thinking about whether I should buy the stock or not. And I don't know anything about it, right? But then I start looking up Sam Altman, and I get all these stories about how he's a fraud, because he is. And then I conclude that Sam Altman's a fraud. Guess what I do? I don't look at the chart. I don't look at the PE ratio. I don't look at the market cap. I don't look at the share price. I don't look at anything. I don't buy the stock. Because if the CEO is an open fraudster, that's the biggest red flag that there is. That's the figurehead who takes the fall if the company gets investigated by the SEC. That's the person who's most likely to go to prison over fraud. You think when a CEO goes to prison over fraud or gets subpoenaed by the SEC, the Securities and Exchanges Commission, that's good for the share price? So don't construe this as investment advice, because it certainly isn't. I definitely haven't told you to buy or sell anything. Teach children cursive script. Yeah, I agree. Cursive script. I don't think that's going to save us from the AI bubble, but yeah, cursive script. I like it. Your father loves it. Your Aunt Netta watches it every night in the VCR. Now, by the way, if you weren't aware that Earth is shaped like a croissant, get with the program, folks. What the hell is wrong with you people? You think Earth is shaped like an oblate spheroid? What are you like on the payroll of like Neil deGrasse Tyson or something? Dudes, Earth is shaped like the French breakfast pastry. So please stop believing NASA's lies. Tell your friends and foes about our merch shop so that people can join the Croissant Earth Society and stop living a lie. Stop living a lie. Stop acting like that image I showed you of the satellite, the GOES satellite, showing the Atlantic sunrise is legit. Everybody knows that they take this croissant-shaped image and they just project that onto a spherical Photoshop template. Duh. Join the Croissant Earth Society. Don't be such an idiot. Oh, man, Earth is a dodecahedron. Ah, man, soccer ball, Earth. Son of a piece of... Oh, wait, that's an isosahedron. I don't know what it is. I definitely don't care. Geometric shapes. People think those are magic, too. People think everything's magic. Google's magic. AI is magic. Elon Musk is magic. Our human savior that we worship is magic. Our cult leader is magic. Everything's magic, folks. It's amazing. Oh, look at this cold. Look at this dry mass of air just smashing into other dry mass of air. Since my nickname's Smash-O-Mash, let's show that. Look at that. That is the smashing together of a bunch of dry mass of air. You got this cold air blasting down from Canada. You got this warmer air down here at the Gulf. And you know what that makes for? Clear skies. Clear skies. Shout out to our viewers from Louisiana, as you will have clear skies, at least this morning. But it's going to cloud up later when that less dry air makes its way through. And then people will think that planes are making contrails on purpose because they don't understand how clouds form. But here's the full U.S. Doppler radar map, the full U.S. Water vapor map. And it's mostly clear over the U.S. here. Not a lot of moisture. This is an interesting system here as it's like moving the wrong way, north over Nevada. But there could be a gateway to hell that's been opened in Nevada. I wouldn't be surprised. Let's take a look at that funky little system over there, and it'll also show the continuation of the atmospheric river, which has been reduced to an atmospheric creek. You can see this out here in the Pacific. And I'm afraid I'm going to have to step away because I have to utilize the facilities. So enjoy that. Comment on what that is. Tell us if you think that that's man-made. Please don't tell us it's man-made. But I'll be right back. So one of the things that we see constantly, folks, is people on Twitter claiming that that's man-made, right? They look at that, they're like, it's man-made, that's a man-made, look at that, that's chemtrails right there. Really? So what plane produces contrails that are hundreds of kilometers in diameter? I mean, see, the problem with the theory that this is man-made is that for man to make this, we'd have to evaporate and make into water vapor millions and billions and billions and billions and billions of gallons of water. Okay. Nobody's evaporating billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of gallons of water. It's not possible. I mean, nuclear cooling towers evaporate a lot of water. But it's not like there are giant toaster elements down here in the... What is this one called now? Is this called the Gulf of Trump yet? The Gulf of Trump. Like, there aren't giant toaster elements sticking in the Gulf of Trump over here, all right? Maybe in the Gulf of America. You know, maybe there are giant heating elements in there. Except if there are, why the f is the air so dry? Oh, I know, because they're turned off, right? Here's a U.S. Doppler radar map, and the snow around the Great Lakes continues. Dudes, you Great Lakes folks, you dudes are getting kaplastered this winter. I mean, we're getting kaplastered in Pennsylvania this winter as snow continues on the ground for weeks at a time. Anyway, there's that moisture there. Looks like things are clearing up where the gateway to hell is located. Las Vegas. Did you know I used to work in Las Vegas? Remotely. I used to work for a company located in Las Vegas. Never been there. I was going to go. But then I was laid off unexpectedly for no good reason. It's fun. Anyway, current conditions in the Lehigh Valley are 14 degrees. No, make it 11. I thought it was colder yesterday than today. I mean, I thought it was colder today than yesterday. Smash staff disagreed. Her nasal passages were freezing yesterday on the way to work. Now, I've been in 150 degrees below zero, so I find all that stuff fun. But anyway, these are the current conditions here at the ABE Airport, otherwise known as Allentown Lehigh Valley International. And we're going to get some snow tonight. A couple inches or so, I think. Oh, less than 1 inch. It'll be a nuisance dusting and little more, but it's going to stay cold. So it'll be a nuisance dusting, making things kind of slick in a lot of situations. Saturday, a forecast high of a forecast high of I don't know. What the hell? They didn't list the forecast high? What is going on, National Weather Service? Look at this. Forecast high for today near 28, so similar to yesterday. Tonight, forecast low near 9 Fahrenheit. Tomorrow, temperature falling to around 7 degrees by 5 p.m. with wind chill values of negative 14. Not a good night to be camping in Pennsylvania. Damn. Saturday night, a low around 1, wind chill values negative 18. And Sunday, a high near 18. So another cold snap coming to all our Lehigh Valley viewers. It's a great place to ride bikes sometimes. When it's that cold, I haven't been on the bike outdoors for quite a while. And it's okay because I've got Roovy and I've got the TT bike right here. It's my winter computer chair. So I think I'm actually going to do a ride today. And maybe I'll even stream while I ride. Let us know in the comments if you'd like me to do another stream. I can rant while I ride. I mean, it's going to be at a relatively low intensity, so it'll be mostly zone 2, I suspect. In which case, I'll be able to chat with all of you YouTube types while I'm doing that. But anyway, let's check out the windy.com map here, and we're about to close this thing out. We just have a couple more things and some forecasts to show. Going to show some stuff on nullschool.net that we don't show every day, so make sure you stay tuned for that. We're going to show ocean currents and talk about what's keeping the Northern Hemisphere alive. Let's put your chats back up here while I show the satellite data. What do we got? There, Marion says, oh, no, wait. The reason they, Femio says, the reason they love AI so much is because they are the exclusive beneficiaries of the AI that they own. If AI was collectively owned, this wouldn't be an issue. I mean, I guess so, but they don't really own like, first of all, if they make it into intelligence, how do they own it? If it's intelligence, it's doing things on its own, and I don't know. There is a place for AI in most businesses. But the idea that it's going to create some kind of utopia or it's going to destroy the world is just ridiculous. Like these companies that write apps and things, they're going to have to create a smartphone app that's bug-free. There are none of those currently that I'm aware of. Maybe open source ones, but the ones that come stock on your device, they are not bug-free. So, I mean, wouldn't it stand to reason that we would have bug-free smartphone apps before we have a paradise created from AI? Let's ruminate on that. What's harder, to build an AI-generated utopia or to build one smartphone app that has no bugs, glitches, or errors in it? Is that a rhetorical question? I guess it is. Our viewers aren't total idiots, so so we don't behave as if they are. Incidentally, most people aren't total idiots. Most people, if you lie to them and give them misinformation and disinformation and nonsense enough, they will turn on you because people don't like being lied to and fed incorrect info. Isn't that an incredible breakthrough? Like, who knew? I guess everybody who was sane knew is the answer to that one. Spending a lot of time talking to myself today, folks. I apologize. Teach any children you might know cursive script. Yeah, I mean, I don't think AI can even read cursive script. AI can't read anything. It has no idea what it's doing. It can't write a date. Like, it's insane. Like, AI can barely put today's date on a graphic. It's insane. like as if it can't copy paste and like open the font thing in Photoshop and like put a layer of text on. Like what? What? AI. The only thing that's artificial is that it's intelligence. The internet has been getting progressively worse, though I would have been 7 years old in 2011. Well, now you're dating yourself. The sort function runs the system. I know, it's a joke. That's why it's completely unscalable. Completely unscalable. Stratotanker 8373 says, Dan is going to take us for a ride. That's true. And to quote Tony Montana, if you think that the end times are here, whoever tell you that is taking you for a long ride. Our finest days lie ahead, folks. The end days are nowhere near. And that would be some extraordinary claims. If you think the apocalypse is upon us, I beg to differ. I don't even have to beg to differ. I just differ because you're wrong. We'll never have an AI paradise with our existing economic system that prioritizes generational wealth and rewards hoarding wealth for the rich. I agree. I agree. It's a complete mess, a disaster, a shattered economy, a shattered internet, a shattered, everybody's governments are all shattered. Everything is shattered. Fortunately, there is one silver lining to that, and that is that it is an opportunity. So, that old adage, hard times lead to strong humans, which make good times, which lead to weak humans, which lead to hard times. So yeah, anyway, there is the satellite imagery, and we're not going to worry about lightning. We're not going to be a real son of a bittern today, but we are going to show the snow forecast. Again, it looks like it's going to be a nuisance snow here for most of Pennsylvania, but that is going to be different for West Virginia. West Virginia getting some pretty heavy snow, it looks like, and their GFS forecast in inches. The scale is over there on the right, and it goes up to 4 feet. Because up here in Washington, we're going to see some, up in the high mountains there, we're going to see some 4 feet falling here. But West Virginia is going to get some significant snow there. That's not going to be a nuisance snow for them. They're going to see, sorry about that, folks. Something happened there and the app just shut down. Isn't that incredible? It's not a bug-free app. For everybody out there who's a YouTube creator, have you downloaded the YouTube Studio app? I used to use it. But I don't use it now because it doesn't work. It doesn't do the things that I need to do as a YouTube creator to run the channel. It's pretty disgusting. I mean, YouTube's like, hey, install this other app, do this, do that. And it's like, okay, yeah, thanks. Real helpful. Real helpful. Another app that barely functions and doesn't do what I needed to do. The most basic functions of operating a channel. You'd think the YouTube Studio app would be helpful. But nope, if you're not using a desktop PC with YouTube Studio, it's not going to work right. So it's fun. It's fun, folks. Technology is something that most people have no clue what the hell they're talking about. But now, the same way everybody became virologists, you know how everybody became virologists in 2020 and everybody became political experts in 2016? Well, now everybody's going to be an expert in AI. Oh, everybody now knows how to code, knows how artificial intelligence works. Everybody now knows everything about code because it's in the news. So yeah, everybody's a computer scientist now in 2026 because last year, 2025, was the year of slop. The Merriam-Webster word of the year, slop. Yeah, the UI is horrible. Everything Google does, the UI is barely functional. And whatever happened to save? What? Share instead of save? What the hell is that? Google reinvented the wheel by getting rid of the save feature. So when you access your own files, if you're using an Android device, next time you want to access your own files, save it. I dare you. Save one of your files. Tell your Android device to save a file.
It's incapable of doing that. That is not a feature. Share is the feature now. I mean, think about what that says about your data integrity. Share? They've replaced save with share. What the hell are you talking about? It's crazy. It's a great reason to run Linux. Just run Linux. Android is already based on Linux. Ubuntu runs great. I have it installed on one PC, and it's probably going to be on all the PCs, if not Linux Mint. I'll probably have Linux Mint on one and Ubuntu on two of the other ones, or something like I'm not going to tolerate Microsoft anymore. I'm not going to tolerate Apple. I'm not going to tolerate Google. Like my devices have to work. And the company whose software is on my device isn't allowed to hold my fucking device hostage. That's what Microsoft does. Do you know how many perfectly fine computers there are just like sitting in people's closets and stuff and in their attics and their basements and garages and sheds? That would work perfectly fine if you put a Linux disk in there or a USB drive or whatever, and just it would run perfectly fine. You could run a computer from that's 20 years old, and there are versions of Linux that will run fine on it, like Mint Lite or whatever it is. It's crazy. No, you're not too stupid to use Linux. There are UIs for Linux that look just like classic Windows. You can skin your Linux to look just like Windows. It's just a matter of getting it installed and getting around the boot options and stuff. You know, if you're a gamer, what I would suggest is have a dual boot, or you can have Windows 11 or Windows 10 or whatever. Windows 11, I guess. You know, because then some games are only going to run Windows 11, but all your Steam games will run in Linux. So, I mean, all your games that are on Steam will run in Linux. So that's out of the way. And many of the games have Linux versions too. So, you know, but some of the games are you're only going to be able to play them on Windows. So if you have a dual boot, I mean, I would set it up so that it default boots into Linux. But if I want to play a specific game, then I can tell it, you know, after a little time delay to boot into Windows or something like that. That's actually Smash Staff has her gaming PC set up like that, and it's pretty good. Anyway, we're going to close out the weather part of the video. I might keep ranting here for who knows how long, but we're going to close out the weather part of the video with some information about the Gulf Stream and the NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation. So that's what we're reviewing here, the North Atlantic Oscillation. I mean, this is the ocean currents of the North Atlantic. And as far as human civilization goes, this current right here, this is the most important current in all of human civilization. Because if this current shuts down, the entire northern hemisphere freezes, we think. Because the last time the entire northern hemisphere froze, what happened is a shocking amount of water from Greenland flooded into the North Atlantic, and it sat on top of the water here, not fully mixing with the salt water. And when it did that, it broke down these currents that keep Ireland and Iceland and Norway and Scotland warm. These places are on the same latitude as Labrador. You see that? Labrador. The only reason these places are warm, like warm enough to grow things and not have glaciers forming, is because of the Gulf Stream and the NAO. The NAO is where warm water makes it up here, and then it goes down, and then it's mixed. It goes up, it goes back down. It sends the water back, and this oscillation is a heat exchanger right here. Without this, the entire northern hemisphere freezes and glaciates. And so this is the most important current in the world, because most of civilization is in the northern hemisphere. So if the whole thing glaciated and went into the much more common state that Earth has been in for the last 30 million years, where most of the northern hemisphere is covered with snow and ice. But anyway, the point is it isn't shutting down, because look, there it is. Like, look at the sea surface temperatures. There is warm water making it all the way to Norway, which is what you want to see. Yet another reason why the end days are not here. You see that? All that warm water making it up here, causing Europe to not turn into a horrifying scene of ice, and which would then eventually just spread over the whole northern hemisphere, and then eventually North America would freeze as well. Like, that's not what you want, because you'd like to be able to grow food and, and not have to relocate closer to the equator. You see, cold is a feedback loop, folks. Cold is a feedback loop. If it gets cold enough, the albedo effect reflects too much infrared light back into space, and you get runaway snowball Earth. That's how it happens. The last time it happened because of fresh water from Greenland, but I digress. Here are the waves, and the world's largest waves ain't that big. We have some that are about 30 feet here off the coast of Portugal, though. That's not too bad. The world's largest waves are just south of Trump's future golf resort. 26.7-foot waves there. Could be a great day to be surfing on the southern tip of Greenland. Although I kind of doubt it, because they probably can't even break. It's probably all just chunks of ice. The surf is probably not too good there. If anybody's got some surf webcams for South Greenland, or if anybody is erecting a giant golden T right here in the ocean, we would like some footage of that as well. If the U.S. took over Greenland, would anybody notice? I'm just kidding, folks. I have to make jokes, because with the state of affairs on planet Earth right now, you might say it's no laughing matter, but buffoons are definitely a laughing matter. Let's show Earth's jet streams and surface winds, starting with this Western Hemisphere. Look at the massive convergence here off the coast of California. It's a jet stream convergence, folks. And out here, that wind is moving at 188 miles per hour there. That's a pretty high-speed wind indeed. It's pretty, to quote Larry David, pretty. There's a heavy low-pressure system here off the coast of, I'll say, the North Carolina, Virginia area. Strong low continuing to linger here south of the Aleutians, and that's part of what's causing this moisture to ride up the coast here. It's the Pineapple Express, folks. I mean, the winds change in Hawaii in the wintertime, and that's part of why that happens. And the Pacific Northwest gets so moist and so lush in the summertime. Here are the surface winds of the eastern world. There's a strong low here in the northwestern portion of Australia. Shout out again to our viewers from under this map. There are your jet streams. It's going to be a cold day in Chad. We got to get the AI compute. We got to get the AI compute before Chad. Okay? Chad is very dangerous. Okay? If you're not scared of Chad, I don't know what you should be scared of, but there's nothing to be more scared of than Chad. Learn to say China like Trump, folks. You got to say China like Trump. You got to talk out of the top of your face. Chad. Don't enunciate out of your loins like you would if you were a professional singer. Chad. You got to talk out of only the top half of your face. Chad. Look out for Chad, folks. Chad is gonna get AGI before we do, folks. Oh no, Chad. You got to say it as if you have an upper respiratory infection. Chad. By the way, if you haven't visited the homepage, please do. It costs money to do this. And it costs money to keep a homepage going. And let's just say that this channel has an operating loss. I won't say how much, because I don't want our viewers to have strokes today. But yeah. So anyway, there's the homepage, smashomash.com. Thanks to everybody who has left comments and so forth. Back to the weather here for a minute before I cut back. I'm going back to your comments again. I'm going back. There are the jet streams of the central world, by the way. And here are the surface winds. Some windy days. We do have some offshore winds there on the coast of Sicily, for example. Sicily's east coast might feature some good surf today. as an offshore wind has a tendency to make waves pile up. As the waves break in, the wind makes them stand up. How much of a grifter is Elon Musk? Yeah, great question. Neocalimastics, one of the biggest grifters in the world, probably the biggest grifter in the world. In the world, the whole world. Pardon my extreme and unnecessary zoom. Anyway, we're going to close out with some more imagery of the sun. The most interesting star at which to gaze. Yeah, I'll put your chats back on the screen here if my browser ever responds to my fucking commands. This is the Chromium browser, by the way. We're sort of in a testing phase. There's no better way to test a browser than to test my patience with it while making a video like this. So anyway, thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. I'm going to put your chats back up here in a minute. Again, if this fucking thing responds to my fucking commands one of these centuries. There's 100%. Look at this. Watch this. Oh, look, 90% zoom, 80%, 75, 67, 50. What? What? It's not responding in any fucking way. Oh, wow. Hey, look, more broken software, folks. The first I've seen. It all usually works so fucking great, doesn't it? What a joke. Yo, AI Utopia coming our way, folks. Bug-free smartphone app. It'll be here by the year 3000. Enjoy. My girlfriend knows how to use Linux, I think, but I've always just used Windows. Yeah, I mean, you might get to a point where you give up on Microsloth. I mean, I've given up on I was calling Microsloth back in 2014 at the very latest. Probably around 2011 when I stopped using Google for search. And by the way, now I have to use multiple search engines to get good results because they all have AI slop thrown in. And by the way, here's like one to sort of end the stream on. DuckDuckGo now has a way to get the AI slop out of your search results. Yeah, when you go to duckduckgo.com, there is an AI console at the top right, and there are all kinds of settings in there. You can tell it not to do it at all. You can get rid of all the AI features. You can pick whatever AI features you want. Oh, look! Thanks, Microsloth! It's finally responded to those commands. Look, it can't even change the size of the display. What the f*** is this What a f***ing piece of that is. What a joke. I mean, dude, my Linux machine runs Chromium faster than the stock Firefox browser. Chromium, it runs flawlessly as far as I can tell. Windows, Microsloth Windows, can't even run Edge browser, I suspect. I mean, it is like absolute trash. Look at this. It's still responding to commands from like 2 minutes ago. Just to simply resize the fucking page. Folks, if you don't know the keyboard shortcuts for this, when you want to resize a web page, you just hit Control plus or Control minus, and that makes the goddamn. Look at this. This is ridiculous. I mean, this is a perfect example of your AI utopia right here. Yeah, that's true. Google Scholar is all right. And, you know, here's my stance on Google. All right, I'm going to just let this shit play in the background so I can see how pathetic this is. But here's my stance on Google, all right? It needs to break up in all its individual companies. Search needs to be a separate company. YouTube needs to be a separate company. Drive needs to be a separate company. Maps needs to be a separate company. And so on. All of the brands need to be separate companies. It's a monopoly that is too self-reliant. And monopolies that are too self-reliant break down, destroy the internet as it's currently doing, and harm the consumer. The U.S. is a consumer-driven service economy, so we don't want to harm the consumer. Harming the consumer is bad. Like Elon Musk doesn't know that? Sam Altman can't figure that out? All the crypto bros, they don't know that harming the consumer is bad for the U.S. economy. What kind of fucking idiots do we have at the helm? We have absolute idiots. driving capex, meaning capital expenditures, absolute plunkers. And look at this. It's finally loaded and it's still trying to fucking resize. I have not pressed anything. Look at this. I'm not pressing anything. I'm standing back. I'm nowhere near the keyboard or mouse. And it's still resizing. I executed those commands like 2 minutes ago. Look at this. Wow. All right. Anyway, it's time to end this stream because Microsloth can just go f itself. And like all of the AI wizards, I'm not following them off their cliff. Like if they ride off a cliff into a lava lake, more power to them. I mean, like whatever, dudes. Like that is a train that I am not on. Anyway, it's time to end this thing before I drive a nail through the processor of this computer and take the hard drive and hit it with a sledgehammer. So to avoid all of that nonsense, I think it's about time to end this fucking stream. Anyway, see you soon. Thanks for tuning in once again to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Congratulations, I realize the channel exists. Don't forget to press share, like, subscribe, comment, press all the things, visit our links, pick up some merch, join the Croissant Earth Society, and we'll see you soon. In the meantime, I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And until next time, may that solar wind be at your back. This video originally streamed to YouTube, a Google property. Google, the evilest company in the history of mankind.